20 years ago, a seed was planted and cared for. We painstakingly nurtured it and weathered it against adversity until one day it blossomed and the fruits of our labor began to show. Today, millions have learned, shared, and been inspired by what our community has produced. We proudly serve 21 million users from 204 countries in 2019. Through our 85,000 technical articles, code samples, and videos, our 450,000 forum questions, and our highly anticipated conferences and events featuring keynote panels, live streams, and industry experts and influencers, we recognize and reward members for their dedication to the community. Through content contributions and mentorships, we ranked number 2,620 in the world with a reach of millions across our social media channels. Thanks to you, our global community of software and data developers grows stronger each day. For more information, visit us at CSharpCorner.com.
Good morning and welcome to the Growth Mindset Show. My name is Mahesh Chan. I'm your host. And today, as you can see, my background's a little bit different. I'm here in San Diego. It's a beautiful, nice, a little colder actually than you would think in San Diego. 60 degrees. And I'm gonna have a special guest today, Chris Love, in the show. So maybe I'll bring Chris Love right now. Chris, welcome to the show. Hey, you're mute.
Not anymore. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are things in California? It's raining here, so you're enjoying better weather than if you were home.
Well, yes. So this is nice today. It was raining here actually until day before yesterday.
I don't think it ever rains in Southern California.
Yeah, it's a little different for California, right? San Diego. But as you can see, I'm sitting outside. It's 9 a.m. and now today seems to be like a beautiful day. Yeah, definitely not raining. Well, everybody who's joining this show, looks like we have a bunch of people joining from LinkedIn, which is pretty great. Awesome. Everybody, welcome to the show. If you are first time, this show, we talk about anything and everything. We can talk about the tech. We can talk about careers, jobs, startups, whatever questions you have. Just bring your questions, ask your questions. We also talk about growth and growth mindset and communities and in general, anything in software development. That's what we do. So, Chris, maybe you want to tell people a little bit about yourself. What do you do and what you're working on these days? It looks like you're working on very exciting stuff with me. We're both trying to work on something very cool. So let's talk about a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, if you don't know who I am, I've been kind of quiet for the last couple of years. I kind of out of the limelight, but I used to do a lot of speaking and stuff. So a lot of people may remember me, but I think, I don't know, I've probably been a professional developer since 92. It's the first time I got paid for a project. So I've got quite a few under my belt, and I tend to focus on web stuff, although I do a lot of full stack stuff, it's part of the job. But I like to say I specialize in progressive web apps and making the web feel like a native application. I think there's a lot of things that the web can do that people still don't give it credit for. And that's kind of unfortunate, but the web can do pretty much everything native applications do these days, which is great. And for the last few months, I've been trying to work with you to redo the CSharpCorner platform.
Yes.
And I don't know how much you want to divulge on all that, but it's quite an undertaking.
Not a lot, but we're going to do a little bit today. We're going to do a little bit today.
It is quite an undertaking. I mean, how long have you had the site going? Since like 2002, so like 20 years,
2000,
right?
2000.
Yeah, so there's a lot of source code scar tissue, which a lot of us walk into when we get a legacy project, and there's things you have to deal with from that perspective. Plus, we're trying to plan a lot of exciting new features to the platform. So I don't
Well,
want
MD,
to
welcome to the
divulge
show.
anything and get
MD,
self in trouble. So yeah.
yeah. MD, welcome to the show. Everybody's who's joining us. My name is Mahesh Chand, and I have a guest, Chris Love. We are on CSharpCorner. We have this growth mindsets show every Friday, and we talk about general life of software development and developers
Yeah, I
and
asked
new
Mahesh what he wanted me to
technologies.
talk about, and he said, "Yeah, we'll just figure it out."
Yeah, so and we go with the flow. We don't really plan too much. It's a weekly show, and let your questions come in. Questions can be anything. It can be anything about your career, your job, your I don't know, consulting, startups, book publishing, community, anything you have questions, just let them come, and then after 5 or 10 minutes and so we'll take your questions. So we are here for you. That's the end goal here. I want to make sure that we get your questions covered. So yes, Saidi, I think we got a message. We got a question from LinkedIn. We will. Sorry if I misspell your name, but we will take your question in a second. Yeah. So today, let's do a little bit housekeeping. Anybody who's joining us from India, I saw World Cup. India lost. How about that? That doesn't sound good to me. We had a bunch of bad news this last week. India lost in cricket World Cup, out in the semi-final, and then Phillies lost in World Cup final. So
World
Phillies
Series.
lost in our Philadelphia Union. They lost soccer World Cup final in the
The
US.
first city on record to ever lose two major professional championships in the same day.
Yeah, same day. That's it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
That's okay. I'm a Texas Rangers fan, so I had nothing to cheer for all season.
Hey, Eagles doing good. So hopefully Eagles will be good this year.
Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan. So
yeah, Cowboys definitely gonna get beat up big times.
no,
That's for sure. Deepak, welcome to the show. Okay, so yeah, guys, one thing I want to talk today is, Chris, and not a lot. I want to talk a little bit. So how we had an amazing conference in India. Last month, October. I
technically,
think it
yeah.
was in October.
I didn't get
October
to go.
16th. It's not even a month yet, but it was amazing conference. So we now have start getting the videos and the content from the conference. Looks amazing. So if you had attended the conference and you're looking for your photos, we have a lot of them. We have videos. We're gonna start putting them online, and then you can find yourself, and hopefully you share on social media. We always like to share this on social media, and the reason is it brings more awareness to other people, gets excitement going on. So that's really big idea with whole communities. We want to make sure the people are still excited, they are happy, they're learning, they're sharing all those good things. So Chris, you have been a blogger for what, 25, 20 some years or so, right?
I think I actually started blogging in feels like 2015 timeframe. I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, so it's been before I even started, right? I started in 19, no, 2015. No, that's not that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's. I mean, I haven't written anything in 2 years. I think.
Yeah.
I kind of just hit
Yeah.
a wall, and I was just like.
Yeah.
But I've probably published several thousand articles, I think it's 6, maybe 7 books.
Yeah.
Two of them aren't developer related, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's many developers out there. They are more, you call them senior developers, experienced developers. They have been in this blogging and MVP and sharing and learning space for almost 10, 15, 20 years, right? Like our friend here, David MacArthur, he's been around, I don't know, 25 years, right? He was way before I started CSharpCorner. So a lot of bloggers and authors like us and David, and they have these small blogs, where it used to do something good. They started as a hobby, it made some money, a little bit money from ads, But now what's happening is they don't make any money. Like you don't make any money from your blog.
No.
So one of the idea, you and I talked about this morning is we are going to build something so they can bring their blogs, bring your own like BYOB.
Mhm.
So we will do like bring your blog to the platform. So we're going to launch something like that. And I think what we want to do is figure out a way to reward those people who wants to bring and they don't want to maintain their own blogging platform and website anymore because a lot of work they don't really make. It becomes work for them, right? And
Mhm.
now everybody's have kids and senior and they don't have time and so on and so forth. So
Yeah, I think in general what I see is like younger developers whose family has not quite matured yet, let's say,
yeah,
had a little more free time to get into it. But as
yeah.
you start getting kids and they grow up,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have as much free time at night to
Yeah,
focus on those kind of things, and it becomes a lower and lower priority. So eventually, your your momentum decays, and
yeah,
I think some of our friends have even kind of forgot they even had stuff out there.
yeah,
They just keep paying for the domain name, and it keeps going. So
yeah. All right, let's take a couple of questions. This is good. We will continue talking about this, but I want to take some questions at least to get the conversation going on. So, Saeed, I think hopefully I'm saying your name right, Saeedi. It says, first of all, thank you. She says, I find everything I need in C Sharp Corner. Thanks for creating such a great platform. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for you at least using C Sharp Corner, and we are glad that it's benefiting you. And that's the purpose of the community, right? And then she has a question: how to get a job opportunity as a mid-level developer. Uh, well, mid-level developer, you can add Chris to that too. There's a lot of jobs out there. I'm not sure where you live and what your conditions are, but if you are in, say, India and US, there's no shortage of jobs for sure. And there's developers are in demand, and it also depends on what technology you're using, you are expert in, and you have experience in. Um, but how do you get job opportunity? To answer that question, I think my biggest uh, point is that networking. More
yeah,
people and more people, friends you have, it's easy to get easy jobs. At least in the US, 92% of jobs are actually come from referrals and who you know. You want to add something to that, Chris?
I think you're nailed like the number one thing. I would say two things along those lines. For me personally, I think the best decision I ever made was to get involved in the local user group when I was back in Raleigh, TriNug,
Yeah,
and start networking with those guys and build friendships and relationships with them. In fact, I still have those friendships, even though I have not lived in Raleigh since 2009.
yeah,
In fact, I had a conversation with one of the guys this week that I hadn't heard from in probably 2 or 3 years,
yeah,
just catching up. But the thing about that is it helped me accelerate my skill set as a software engineer. Um, Not only was I we had a big monthly meeting, getting exposed to something that I may or may not have any direct contact with, technology wise. I was also having those conversations with those guys about, like she's asking, how to get a job. What is life like in some of the different companies, say around Raleigh, that people were getting jobs. What are some of the things to look out for, who to connect with, and then that then parlayed into me having a confidence to start, say, doing the blog, and that then led to the first book that I wrote, which I think was the big first step to get to be a Microsoft MVP, which then leveled up even more. So like every time you do something, you kind of continually keep leveling up. But I think it all starts with finding people that you can connect with, and not necessarily the ones you work with, but having that sense of community. And I do miss having actual groups where we went and go see each other at least once a month. TriNet was
yeah,
good because we also had smaller technology focused week meetings. They were kind of sitting around a table a lot of times just talking about things each week on top of the main meeting, and then we started having the code camps and all that kind of stuff. So I would say that's the first thing, because it's got to be learning, and learning is not necessarily reading content, but I would also
Yeah.
say you constantly need to be allocating time, whether it's in your margins or specifically say I'm going to spend 4 or 5 hours this month, and I'm going to learn a new technology, and or some new API or an API that it's new to you, that you think may be useful, or at least interesting to you, because all that stuff just keeps adding on and stacking on. And then the next level thing, as you learn to do things and you get experience, see where there's holes in the content that you found that taught you, and then come to CSharpCorner and write an article or maybe even create a video
Yeah.
and explain how to fill that hole, how to fill that void of knowledge that's out there. Because what happens is you start sharing that content publicly, you're building a CV,
Yes.
and it's a living CV that you don't have to worry about like a formal piece of paper, but it's like real tangible proof that you know what you're doing. A common compliment I would say that I get from people reaching out to me for projects is I've got most of I would say the broadest set of articles and content on progressive web apps. And they're just like, every time I looked up anything around progressive web app, you came up somewhere. So to me, that kind of sets me in as somebody who really knows what's going on in that space. So
Yep. So let's summarize that. It's a great question. I think a lot of developers, they sit in their cubes and they don't go outside of their
yes,
work, and that's when problem comes when they're looking for a new job. So I'm going to recap what you just said is, to answer, say your how do you get opportunity? It's a process, right? People go for jobs when they need a job, but you need to start working on this while you already have a job. Every day or every week, allocate some time, as Chris said, for learning new things. When you learn new things, you share them on a community like C Sharp Corner, GitHub, LinkedIn, wherever you like. C Sharp Corner is obviously better because it's our platform. We are being selfish here, but C Sharp Corner has bigger rewards. Means we don't just ask people to just go and contribute. We are also engaged that how can we help our members to connect to the right people, right companies, and right user groups, right? So a lot of our members who became started as writing articles or sharing code now are authors and they are speakers because we give them the platform for more than just writing articles, right? It's more than that. You come on a show, you talk about it. So when you're out there, as Chris said, building your live CV, your resume, your profile, that's when companies really hire you. So if you start doing that, for a few hours a week, then companies and jobs will come to you. You don't have to go to the jobs, right? And that's the best situation to be when jobs start coming to you. And as Chris
hmm
said, most of jobs, me in the early age, all my projects and jobs came because people were reading my articles on C Sharp Corner. I
hmm
never went and applied for a job. Jobs are always looking for me just because of that. So,
I'm
all
trying to
right,
think the
that's
last time
good.
I actually applied for a job.
Yeah, and funny thing is, every time, somebody called me, hey, we are hiring a software developer, and I walk in there like, oh, we already know you, we read your article, so I'm not going to interview. So a lot of time, I didn't know a lot of things, but I got job. Yeah. So let's take another question from MD, which is a great question, actually. This is amazing question. Every young developer should understand and listen to this, what I'm going to say now. And I'll have Chris also chime in there. Sometimes experienced developers become arrogant with juniors. What's your thought on this? And this happens a lot. Great question, MD. And it's not, yeah, so it's a juniors too. So what happens is a lot of developers, obviously, they have big heads. They think they are better than everybody, and that's one of the flaws being a developer, and because that's how we live. A lot of people are like that, senior people. To me, my thought is that it's a nonsense, it's a stupidity. Arrogance is nothing but it kind of stops your growth, right? Once you start thinking you're better than others or you know more than others, that's when your growth stops as a person, as a human. So to me, I don't believe in that. I personally, and I don't like when people start thinking like I'm better than others, because end of the day, if you're better than others, somebody's better than you. There's always somebody better than you. So that's my view on it. Chris, you want to add something to that?
Well, I worry about this for me, like trying to work with newer developers. I worry
Yeah.
about how I come across because
Yeah.
I do try to help, and I am trying to help. Sometimes there are deadlines and things that are in the way too that you kind of have to be cognizant of, and
Yeah.
so it can come across as very aggressive. I guess is what I worry about. Um, so from my perspective, I'm looking at it now as all these years of trying to share that with the next generation or two coming up, and I want to be allowed to work with them, but I'm going to make mistakes just like they're going to make mistakes, and I like to hope that I've got some leeway on that. I've had a lot of negative experiences with developers not liking what I'm saying sometimes, and sometimes I wonder if it's how what I'm coming across, or it's just that they don't like the reality of what they're asking me and the answer to that. So that's part of the problem. But that's one of the reasons why I got out in the community and started working, because it could be somebody who's my age who just doesn't have any experience, say, with progressive web apps, or it could be somebody who's 25, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So the age doesn't matter. It's kind of where you're at with stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there were people that I looked at that mentored me along the way, and I still think about those coworkers and people that I started with. I've actually been thinking a lot about actually my second job, the guys I worked with on that team, because they were really good developers. And what I learned from working with those guys that I still use to this day, and how that they were able to transfer habits and basic patterns and stuff along the way. And so, here I am, like 20 years later, I guess, or more, maybe 25 years later, still looking back on that 2 or 3 year experience there with those guys and just how much it helped me going along. But they were really good at working with me on things too, and let me kind of do projects and stuff. So I was thankful to be with them too. So
Yeah.
yeah, personally, I just worry about how I come across. I want to help people. I don't want to talk down or put down people. I want to elevate them as much as I can.
Yeah.
So, because it
And
makes our team better. Yeah.
yeah, and from the junior points of view, if you are a junior and somebody is being arrogant to you, it's fine. Um, it's nothing wrong. You shouldn't worry about that part. You should ignore that part as long as you're learning and they're helping you. um, that's it's their problem, right? It's not your problem. My view is like, if somebody's arrogant, it's not your problem, right? It's affecting you somehow. Hey, Venkat, welcome to the show. Sarath, welcome to the show. After good, long time see you, good to see you here. Yeah, so we are talking about in general software development, career, um, and community. Anything you have questions, just feel free to chime in. We are just general chit chatting here. I have today guest with me is Chris Love, good friend. We're working together on C Sharp Corner, and we are building something amazing for C Sharp Corner, which will start announcing in a early Q2 next year. Especially for our MVPs and bloggers and writers and speakers. We are building something amazing. So yeah, and Saeed she said, I think it's a woman. Yeah, she said that yeah, I know, I'm sending my resume and most of them email me. We chose someone else, and it makes us me upset to continue. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, and it is really sad and upsetting when you get these discouraged replies, or not get selected. But you have to also think, right? Every developer who's looking for a job or not looking for it, they have to think like, how are you different than others? What do you bring to the table that's
Mhm.
more than other people? To me, everybody's looking for different people, right? So if it looks like there are 10 developers and they're on the same skill level, do you have better communication skills? Do you have better presentation skills? Do you have better leadership skills? Are you a better community person? Are you helping others? So you have to think, how are you different than others, so they will choose you over others. That's number one. If you don't have that, then you need to figure out how to separate yourself from the crowd, because once you start doing that, you will stand out. And it's everywhere in the world, right? It's not just in software development. Same thing in the competition, sports, everywhere you go.
Mhm.
People who stands out, they bring more to the table, are the one they get selected first. That's how it is. Hopefully that helps you. So yeah, Sarath, welcome again. And yeah, it says we have to build a good mobile app with Maui. Yeah, I think he's talking about CSharpCorner app. Yes. Yeah, a lot of work has to be done on CSharpCorner platform. It's just we are just behind, and there's so much legacy code and legacy content. So maybe
That's gonna
Chris, you
that
wanna
is
help?
a good point.
Yeah,
We gotta manage just migrating the data, not necessarily the code. You got to think about it from that perspective too. It's
yeah, yeah,
going to be a very interesting thing because when we get this done, we are planning on talking about the process that we've
yeah,
gone through. So I'm trying
yeah.
to
So yeah,
journal that if you can, if you will. So yeah.
yeah. So I think Chris, a lot of our MVPs they want to help. Like Sarath Lal, he's always willing to help. He's always willing to help. Some people are already helping in different ways. We just need to figure out how do we manage this process. Maybe get some really good project manager, because MVPs want like they like to help. They have time a little bit here and there. It just matter comes to the management. So we will figure that out. Sarah, that's one in our list. Um, so where we will get there. This is our like goal is really we're trying to figure things out. Um, and then yeah, anything else we want to cover today? Anybody has any questions? We have almost 9:28, so we are like we're trying to keep these half an hour, these shows. Maybe if you have anything, we'll take one more question. But yeah, so Chris, back to our discussions. So guys, everybody who's listening this, so we have a bunch of things coming up, but one of the things I think Chris you are helping with is the Dakia service in Dakia, the postman.
Oh, you're going to mention that. Okay.
Yeah, we are building this service, and I think one of the first goal will be to build something for our MVPs and authors. That's kind of our highest priority, so we can communicate with them regularly. Yeah, you want to add a little bit to that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Stop me if I start sharing too much. But
No, you can just say general. Why are we building it? What's the purpose? And yeah, that's really.
first, what it is, we're trying to build essentially a messaging service platform to kind of reside underneath the hood, so to speak, on the CSharpCorner platform to help us manage automated communications, not just around email, but I'm architecting it right now to do email, push notifications, and possibly SMS, although I'm not sold on that being a business choice for us at the moment, just because of the cost associated with text messaging. But so it's going to be interesting how we build all this out. So, but we want to do it so we make sure that everybody's in the loop with what's going on CSharpCorner, knowing what's available for them to do on CSharpCorner as well.
Yeah. Hey, so Sarath Lal, yes, connect with Simon. Let's schedule. You can come in any show. Our MVPs are always welcome to come with me. That's not a problem at all. Just connect with Simon and he can schedule with me. I always like to have guests, talk on different topics, different things. We can select with that. So I think we are out of the time now. We're actually right on time. Chris, thank you for hanging out, coming out on short notice. Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us this Friday. And hopefully I'll see you again next week. But this next week it'll be East Coast, and I think it's going to be cold. Winter is here. So everybody have a nice weekend.
I haven't looked that far ahead.
All right. Thank you all.